Welcome back to Jeff Boxing TV. I'm your host, Jack Fletcher, and I'm absolutely delighted to welcome on this evening the one and only Mr. Joeseph Parker. Joe, how you doing?
Very good. Very, very good.
Still in Morecambe?
I'm in Morecambe Bay. I've been here for 2, 3 weeks now. I'm into the second week of training camp, leading into the fight with Joyce on the 24th of September. And camp has gone great so far. It was great to be back with Andy Lee, back into our third camp together. And we're working on some good things to prepare for this fight that we have ahead of us.
Massive fight this. 24th of September, AO Arena against the juggernaut Joyce. A lot at stake in this fight. The winner gets the winner of AJ Usyk, which is tomorrow evening. So, fight of your life, Joe.
The winner, if I, come out on top and win, I'm locked into a rematch clause. So I have to fight Joy again. If he wins, then he can move on and fight, the winner of Usyk and Joshua. So there's a rematch clause in place, and I just said to them, he's not the champion or anything, but he wanted a rematch clause to make the fight happen. So I said, okay, let's do it. I'll beat you twice, and then I'll move on to the next fight.
So Joyce, 14 fights, 14 wins, 13 knockouts. The juggernaut, renowned for having a granite chin, can't be stopped apparently. Bit of needle in that press conference as well a couple of weeks ago, undermining your power a little bit and what you bring to the table, Joe.
Yeah, listen, they can say a lot of things, and they're trying to boost themselves up and give themselves confidence. Or Joyce going into this fight, and he's done a lot. He's done a lot in the amateur game, and he's come to the professional realm, and he's been able to have some good fights, and he hasn't tasted defeat yet. So he's got that confidence going into this fight. I've had over 30 fights, and I've had 2 defeats. So listen, I know what it takes to prepare for a big fight. I know what it takes to put in the work and prepare myself mentally and physically, which I'm doing very well at the moment. So Joyce has had a lot of fights in the amateur game and 14 fights in the professional game, like you said, but he hasn't faced anyone like me. I got the engine to go 12 rounds as well. I got a pretty good chin myself. So it's the battle of the chins and the battle of who's going to be able to, sustain, the good, fighting technique from the beginning to the very end, depending on how far the fight goes, whether it's 1 round or 12 rounds.
Is it fair to say, in regard to sort of fight resume and people that you've fought in the past, your record and the people that you fought stacks up a little bit better than Joe's?
Listen, it does, but I think records, sometimes you just got to ignore the records and focus on what's in front of you. Because if you start talking about records and you start talking about the resume and who you fought, then it just distracts you from what's in front of you. But Joyce is a very tough challenge, and there's a reason why a lot of people don't want to fight him, because he's a big guy who just keeps coming forward, takes a lot of punches, can take them very well, and then he gives his own bit of punishment. So a lot of people don't want to fight him, but I see it as a good challenge for myself at this stage of my career.
I was watching your fight against Derek Chisora at the back end of last year, and I know that you've been working a lot on power and planting your feet, and your power's improved dramatically. Is there an even bigger increase this time around?
With the first camp I had with Andy, I was just learning. It's different when I was with Kevin for 8 years, and we fought some great fights together and achieved a lot, and it was a great time of my life, training in Vegas with Kevin. And then when you move to a different coach, you have to take away everything, most of the things you've learned, and try your best to be a student who's just started off. So the first camp I had with Andy was a good camp. We had a good result with Chisora, which was a very close fight, the first one. Then the second camp, we were able to work on a lot more things and introduce more things, because we have a better understanding of each other and how we work and how we operate. And the second fight showed a lot more improvements compared to the first fight, a bit more power, sitting down on your shots. So, there's a third camp now, and that means more power. It means introducing more things and adding more to my weapons that I have already. So that's what excites me, is because as a fighter, you always love to learn. And there's a lot of learning going on in this camp so far.
I mean, Joe Joyce is renowned for coming forward, punches in bunches, taking a lot of shots. You, on the other hand, you're a very precise boxer. You pick your shots, you move around the ring. Do you think we're going to see a different Joe Joyce on the night? Because if he sticks to the usual game plan, the usual strategy, he's going to inflict a lot of damage. And how much damage can he take?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, he's taking a lot of damage, and I'm sure he can take a lot more damage. But the aim of the sport of boxing is to hit and not get hit. Try your best not to get hit. So I think with the challenge that I bring to the fight, he's going to change his game plan, or maybe adjust it a bit and maybe a bit more cautious and taking those big shots. Because I can do a lot of damage, and I just need I needed someone like Andy to bring it out of me, a bit more confidence within myself and what I can do.
And what's your viewpoint on the sort of psychological mind games in the press conference a couple of weeks ago and his approach towards that?
Listen, the press conference is you can't have two guys who don't talk crap, trying to talk crap and trying to say. There's just, we are just two guys who are ranked highly who just want to jump in the ring and fight each other and beat each other up. That's what we want to do. So the talking side of it's not really our thing. For me, it's not my thing, and for him, definitely not his thing. So, and it just shows because he had to revert back to duck noises.
What's going to happen in this fight, Joe?
We're gonna win.
What's going to happen in this fight?
I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna box his head off. I'm gonna give it to him, and I'm gonna win. And then I'm gonna rematch him in December.
Do you feel like it's going to be a dominant performance, or do you think the fight will go sort of 12 rounds, or do you think you can stop him and get him out of there?
It's going to be a good performance from my end. Very good performance. The way that we're training now and what we're doing in the gym, we're very confident going into this fight. Very confident. And, I think every fighter who locks in a fight and prepares for a fight is always confident. But I really feel that this is the perfect fight for me to showcase skill, power, technique, and put it all together in one fight.
And obviously, with what's eventually going to be at stake, AJ or Usyk, does that add a certain type of pressure to this fight, or are you thriving off that pressure?
I love pressure. You embrace it. You take it in. You thrive, like you said, thrive off it. But none of that stuff matters with the win of AJ and Usyk and all the other things about the belts, unless this fight in front of us is taken care of. We have to put on a better performance than. I know that the last fight with Chisora was one of my better performances as of late, and the ones before that were quite not impressive and not catchy and not like really nice to watch, or not exciting to watch. So this one coming up has to be similar to the Chisora fight. More action, more aggression, more confidence, and just give it to him.
Do you think Joe's taking you a little bit lightly, or do you think deep down he knows what's in store for him on the night?
I don't think everyone's taking me lightly. I think a lot of people see that I've been in boxing for a while now, and I've been able to become world champion back in 2016, which was awesome. But a lot of people are seeing that I've had my time, and now I should, just fading out a bit. But I've only just begun.
And in your sort of honest, humble opinion, how much have you developed over the past sort of 12 months, being around the likes of Tyson Fury and Andy Lee? I would say like it's been a big game changer for you, this.
Listen, it's massive. It's a massive change. Training in Vegas for 8 years with one coach and changing coaches and different environment, different country. It took me over 30 hours to travel to England from New Zealand, far, far away. I've left my wife and kids there. And I think being around Tyson, being around and having Andy in charge of training camp, and, they're very wise. And they've been in boxing for a long time. So they are able to pass on knowledge and wisdom in boxing, that I'm able to take in and use. And there's a lot of important things that they say that it just, makes sense.
Massive fight, 24th of September, Ale Arena. You're familiar with that arena as well. It's going to be a huge showcase. I think everybody's looking forward to it. True 50-50 fight?
Yes, it's a 50-50 fight. Joyce is a very tough customer, and that's the reason why a lot of people don't want to fight him. A lot of people are avoiding fighting Joyce, but I like the challenge, and I thrive under pressure. That's what we want.
Joe, are you going to be the man to knock out Joe Joyce?
I want to be that man. I do. Every heavyweight has the ability to knock out another heavyweight. It just takes that one punch at the right time, clean shot, boom, right on the jaw. But it's just my game plan is to go into this fight and win well and look good doing it. No point. No, listen, you're going to do whatever it takes to win, but you have to look good doing it. And that's what attracts attention. That's what people want to see. And that's what people tune in for. I'm going to go in there and beat him up and get him out of there. That's my plan.
I think the whole of the boxing community after your last fight with Chisora noticed the major improvements that you've made as a boxer. So it's clear to see. Just got to ask you the question, mate. Obviously, tomorrow night in Jeddah, AJ Usyk. What's your opinion? Who's going to win this fight and how they're going to win it?
I've said lately that I think Usyk wins again with the confidence that he comes in to this fight with, being the champion from the first performance, and fighting for his country. All of these things that sort of make it more of a challenge for him. And AJ's changed up his team, new coach, and new members of his team. Kept some of the old ones, but just not quite sure how he's going to approach this fight and the mindset. They both look in great physical condition, but then when the fight time comes, it comes down to the mindset, and how strong mentally you can be and you are for the fight.
Is it mindset, or is it boxing IQ, or is it a mixture of both?
Mixture of both. When you're in training camp, a lot of it's physical, but when you're leading into a fight, even if you're in great physical condition, but if you're not mentally there, there's no point.
Is it going to be a knockout? Is it going to be a points win? How's the fight going to end?
And both guys are going to go for it, and there's going to be a stoppage.
Okay.
That's what people love to see: stoppages and KOs. But I'm siding with Usyk. But it's going to be a very great fight. It's a fight that everyone's interested in because of the first fight, and just how both guys are going to come in and what kind of fight it's going to be. Whether it's going to be a similar fight or where the changes have made changes to how they approach it.
Listen, Joe, I know you can't look past Joe Joyce. I know you've got a couple of fights coming up with him, but hypothetically, if you get to where you need to be, making the improvements that you made over the past 12 months and continuing to make those improvements, if you get the opportunity to rematch AJ or fight Usyk, do you believe in your heart of hearts that you've got the ability to become heavyweight champion of the world?
I believe in my heart that I can become champion of the world. I believe with the improvements that I've made and the sacrifices that I've made, and the hard work that I'm putting in, that I can be champion of the world again. A lot of doubters out there and a lot of haters, but that motivates me to keep pushing through. And I'm not flying all the way to England and leaving my wife and kids for no reason. I'm going to do it. I'm going to make it worth it. I'm going to make it worth it.
Good stuff. Joe, it's been absolutely fantastic having you on the show this evening. Just before I let you go, mate, have you got any final words at all?
Excited for the fight tomorrow. And to everyone that's watching this, appreciate the love and support for boxing and for all the fighters and for myself. And tune in for a great fight come September 24. Not only myself and Joyce, but the undercard looks pretty stacked as well. So it's going to be a great event, but let's enjoy tomorrow's fight night first.
Joe Parker, thanks for coming on to Boxing TV.
Thanks for having me on.